For many years, video games have been one of the most popular forms of entertainment. Over the years, millions of them have been released. But how are video games actually made? Video games can often take years to develop, and it is no easy task. Game development is usually divided into three stages. These are pre-production, production, and post-production. Pre-production consists of defining what the game will actually be. This includes thinking of the mechanics, story, enemies, characters, design, and overall look of the game, and many other things. To group their ideas, developers will often make a game design document, or a GDD, which is a document that describes everything about the game. The final stage of pre-production, or the first stage of production depending on who you ask, is making a prototype, which is basically a rough draft of the game, which is nowhere near perfect or even finished and often doesn't have textures or distinct animations, but it is playable. The production of a game is the actual making of the game. Before the game is made, the developer will have to choose an engine like Unity, Unreal Engine, and many more. For large development studios, everyone will have a different role, but most games are actually made by very few and more than you think actually one person. Minecraft, one of the best-selling games of all time, was made by just one person. Production can often be separated into different stages. First, playable is the stage where game elements are working but not yet refined. Vertical slice is a portion made for publishers that serves the purpose of selling them on the game. Then there is pre-alpha, alpha, and beta, which are sometimes public early versions of the game. Code release is for manufacturer review before release. You will sometimes hear developers say that a game has gone gold, which means that it is finished and ready for release. Post-production is the stage after the game has been released where the developers will fix bugs that players find and sometimes will even add more content to the game. All 3D games will have models, which are digital 3D objects and characters. There are different types of 3D modeling, with some being like drawing and some being more like clay sculpting. There are also different 3D modeling software like Blender and ZBrush. To model characters, devs will often scan a real person to get accurate anatomy and human-like movements. For game design, developers will pace the game's difficulty, making it harder as the game goes on. A good thing to do if a game has a lot of controls and mechanics is to slowly introduce them as the game progresses. It is up to the developer to decide how long each area of the game will be. Sometimes games will have sections that you can pass in seconds, and sometimes sections of a game can take a long time to get through. Designing good controls for a game consists of knowing the game's audience and choosing the right input method. Touchpad for mobile, gamepad for console, mouse and keyboard for computer. It also includes following the standards of the game's genre and platform and testing the controls, balancing simplicity and complexity, and providing guidance in the game in the form of some kind of tutorial. Good game controls should be easy to use and learn, but should give the player enough room for mastery. The controls should always communicate the player's intentions.